Greetings, citizens of A1 and all other foreign micronationalists. This is James Wilary broadcasting once again from Georgetown, Virginia. So yes, I am back from my little trip. I was in Berkeley, California for a major macronational political conference of high schools, which go to this conference in Berkeley, every year since I think 1952 it has been. And this year there was 1,500 delegates, which joined, which represented every nation from Andorra to Zimbabwe. I would prefer not to go much detail, but this has given me an insight onto some different policies and political, not platform, but political process. Yes, political process, especially in areas of legislature and multi-representative governments. And from this, I have been viewing the A1 form and how the Chamber of Electorates has been run, and I have noticed that although A1 is a very respectable micronation, and although we do have a working Parliament and a working executive, the judicial branch I'm not so sure of, but we have not required the need of. My point being, because I'm starting to lag, my point being is I have a proposal for a new way of legislature in the A1 Chamber of Electorates specifically. Probably, if we needed, probably could be applied to the House of Deputies, but we don't use it anyway, so just kind of forget that. So step one is, instead of proposing, as we usually do, legislation, we state a problem or an idea. And whatever this could be, I'll just say cutting ties with some nation, the Kingdom of Bobsland. Okay, yeah, Kingdom of Bobsland, but whatever. We're going to cut ties with the Kingdom of Bobsland. So, someone would propose this idea, but they would not write out everything. So that's would be step one. Step two would instead involve discussion. You know, I think this is sort of what's already written in there. We don't follow it, but the main thing is we do not propose legislation, we propose ideas. And then we discuss. But how it works instead is each republic, or electorate, or member, whatever it may be, will state whether they're present, which means they are here going to come and everything vote, present and voting, which means they are not able to abstain, or that they are observing the issue. Observing means they can comment but cannot vote. Present voting means that they have to vote, and present means they're showing up. Now, in the same post, it would be desired for an opening statement from each member, stating their opinion on the issue. And once we get this all through, or at least get a reasonable quorum, 75% or whatever we know is capable, like if 2 electorates are out, we'll just consider them observing, or just not present, but that's not the point. And once we do this, and do our opening statements, we would then have a period of discussion, which would be an informal caucus, because when you're writing on a form and not doing personal things, it's kind of hard to have any kind of back and forth discussion, because maybe the guy will be out that day and then he won't speak, and then they'll hell everything up. So it would be an informal caucus of discussion in which we'll all accumulate our ideals, and then what would be desired would be that different groups would accumulate that have the same ideals, and that we each write a resolution on the issue. Now, then, actually I forgot, but after a majority of people have stated that they are here, we motion to enter into debate, and and then we could just skip that, but that's an idea, is to motion to go into debate, and everyone says A, but we don't have to do that because it's kind of redundant. But one thing that must be done is the motion to enter in the resolution phase, the presentation of resolution phase. In this phase, we will state our resolutions, give our opinions on them, and state why we believe that this one would be the best answer to this problem. If you've noticed, this is kind of like the UN. Matter of fact, it's exactly like the UN. The Berkeley thing was a Berkeley Model United Nations. So I am taking it from this because I do believe this is a very formal format. But to continue on, so we will propose our resolutions, and once proposed, people may ask some questions, and then when we feel I was finished, someone will motion to go into the voting block. And when this happens, all discussion has ended. And it would be preferred that the voting block will only be in a separate form where it is locked down for only the voters to see. And this would be not viewable to, maybe not viewable to observers because they stated that they do not wish to vote. You know, just kind of an idea to throw out, not required, you know, ideas. And this would be closed. And we enter into phase where we vote. And all you say is A, nay, or abstain if you have not declared you were present in voting. And then we accumulate and see which resolution passes. If none passes, we have to do we have to pretty much do the whole system over again because we didn't agree on anything. It's kind of like on the issue of how would we exit the issue, like if we just say it's dumb in the first place and there's no resolutions, I would say there had to be a resolution to declare the issue invalid, or not invalid, but, you know, pointless. Just because I preferred to see if we could get this to be a more formal route. So that'd be an idea. If multiple resolutions pass, there's a special thing. Special thing we must decide. If multiple resolutions pass and they do not conflict, let's say they deal with separate issues, points of it, they'll just combine into one resolution in the end. And I think some of these things might be termed as working papers in the UN, but I really don't care about that. You know, too big a headache with all these million definitions for everything. But but if they do conflict, we'll have to go into a second voting block to instead vote between them. Because in all reality, if we have two different things and they conflict, it's pretty pointless because then we haven't decided anything. And once we agree on one, someone motions to exit voting block, we all say A, nay, or yeah, whatever, and then we exit, and then whatever decisions, and that is what we have declared. If it does get 80%, I think it's 80, 70%, I forget, because the House of Deputies is closed, but if it is ever open, and it does not make the quorum, or whatever the term is required in the Chamber of Electorates, it would then move to the House of Deputies, but if it does make the bout, it would move on instead, just as passed legislation. And that's my idea in a nutshell. I might have, you know, messed up a few parts. I will propose a resolution in the current form of that we run the legislation on this issue. So don't expect I'm going to show up tomorrow, kind of right now, and expect everyone to follow this. I'm going to, you know, kind of discuss this. But this video is being made because I'm thinking, because if we are going to amend the Constitution, I believe we should implement this format beforehand if we do find it to be interesting, because the Constitution is very valuable, and I prefer that if we ever plan to become slightly more formal in our legislation, we do it before we start, you know, touching our Constitution to make it simpler. And on a side note to any foreign micronationalists, I do think this would be an interesting idea. Not necessarily that process. I kind of specifically conjured this up for A1, Federated Republics of A1, but the OAM may want to do this because it would be more formal. You know, it would give a more formal name. But if you wish to stay, you know, the kind of normal, you know, not so, you know, it is very informal, but the kind of informal state that the OAM currently is, you know, it's fine with me. I really don't care. I'm just kind of saying it may be an idea. I mean, it would be extra bureaucracy, but, you know, does the UN do good stuff or bad stuff? And that's kind of how the way to look at it, because this is pretty much the, at least it's the UN plan. I mean, they could have come up with something, but I'm pretty sure it's the UN plan. That's it. Oh, if you care to know what this little sign says, I have no idea. My camera's kind of oblong, so it may not be able to comprehend this, but it does says Persanian People's Republic, and then underneath it says Persanian English. So if you can't read that for whatever reason, well, that's what it says. If you can, great, because I also prefer speaking for legislation, because writing kind of gets redundant after a while, and I kind of get bored to death. I feel more into it if I speak, although I do believe I'm ranting by now. It's a thing I have habit. I'm probably got this monotone voice that's driving me all crazy. I'm sorry about that, but I would like to do this. If we do put the formal thing in place, I would like to do this per resolution, because I think it would be more viable that way, because I would prefer to speak. And yeah, that's kind of what got this, kind of because I am here. I'm kind of pretending that around me is the rest of the chamber, which it's not. Don't think I'm crazy yet, but I am pretending that they are there, in a way. Okay, that might sound crazy, but you get my point. I'm James Wilary. Of course I'm crazy. Oh, and on the issue of the state of emergency, I am here. I'm going to deal with it because I was gone. I did not really read into it, and I have to do that now. I know I'm the defense commander, but hey, everyone decides to do something while I'm away. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You always decide to do stuff while I am away. Robert Lether will show up when I'm on vacation, and state of emergency will declare when I'm in a macro-national politics thing, you know. It's not my fault. It's you. Okay, yeah, so that's my comic relief of the day. I will fix that. Philip Fish, I think I might have just kicked you out of your position as acting commander. You can go back to the Navy. The Air Force is taking back over. And yeah, I am tired, so thank you. Yeah, I believe that's it. Thank you.